Hey guys, welcome to here of course, and today we're discussing the Flandry. A bit late, but hey, better late than never. In terms of modules, I recommend it really is a mix of both. I like gaming systems for this. Armament Durability Mod 1 is really pretty good. It's pretty darn disgusting for the French having this option. It's so nice, but at the same time the health loss can be felt. I do like gaming systems just a bit more dispersion because I feel the Flandry guns are really trolly, but armament durability is either a hit or miss, and you could run main battery mod because you had to turn your guns a lot more because you have that third turret that you need to use because you don't have the benefit of all the guns up front. Steering gear is actually what I recommend. Oddly enough, propulsion is okay because you have the speed boost, but steering gears certainly turns problematically, so that's certainly something to do. Obviously, you don't have much of a choice in the final two modules because main barrier mod is probably where you want to go, and RGA is really not much choice because there's nothing else. Standard heal, secondary is consumable, which is useless, and speed boost, which is of course helpful to get out of bad situations. Health pool is actually quite high. I believe it's the highest out of all the French BBs. You get 9 guns, which is one more than the rest, I guess, but at the same time, you've pretty questionable turret configuration considering the hull you have. You really want to angle as much as you can, but the gun angles are not ideal. The guns are sometimes questionable in accuracy, and even with pen I feel, but I could be wrong about pen. I think they probably have the same standard French 15-inch guns, but I do feel they do lack a bit, mainly because they're probably triple turrets, which are not as accurate as the quads that they have. So, not sure. Anyway, it's time to address the elephant in the room, the secondary battery. You've got 14 times 2, so that's 28 100mm guns, and you've got 9 152s. Now, you may think, oh, that's a lot of secondary, that's a lot of good DACA, that is going to be great, you run it as a brawler. You know, it's got a turtleback armor scheme, it's got the secondaries, and it's got a speed boost, and it has 9 guns as opposed to 8, which the French usually have, or less, depending on, the thing. But no, these 100mm guns can pen 16.66 recurring millimeters of armor, so basically 16, or even 15. It doesn't really matter, honestly, though, because DD hulls at tier 6 and 7 have 19mm of plating, so you basically can't pen destroyer hulls, which is really bad. You also can't pen superstructures, which is also 19. So you can't pen battleships with your 100mm guns. Basically, your damage is completely reliant on getting penetrating hits with 152s. So you've only got 9 secondary guns that actually have anything actually damaging. The 100mm guns are only good for fires, and you may think, hey, at least you've got a lot of fast firing 100mm guns. You could use that as like a fire starter build. Run AL Fisso, which buffs the entire ship's fire chance, HE fire chance. Well, you may think that, but a Bismarck, which is completely free by the way, Bismarck, you could put AL Fisso onto Bismarck and have the same results, if not better, because your guns not only have the same fire chance despite having better pen, the 1/5 pen, they also are just generally more effective. They've also got better range. So you're losing out on range, pen, you have the same fire chance, you've got a little bit on the edge of a reload, but realistically not that much. So in terms of Flandry secondary boats, I'm just going to say it's not viable. Even for the memes, it's not that great because you have to rely on fire chance, and even then it's not really good in that regard. It's just the same as the other German battleships if you're speccing for those. So yeah, again, test it in AI. You can look in future videos recovering this, and you can see it's just not very effective. On to the armor scheme. 32mm nose with internal anti-warship armor that's pretty darn good. It's in the red armor scheme. It's pretty darn good actually, but the problem with having really good armor schemes in this game, and probably I'm sure in the PC version as well, if you take this off you can see the internal red plating there of the armor, is that means you're guaranteed pens, and you don't have that magical French armor scheme that the Jean Bart, the Richelieu, and the French cruisers get, which is being overpenned or just straight up shattering and bouncing things. It may seem like a weird point to make, but if you're comparing your French battleship to other French battleships, it's definitely noticeable. 50mm pre-protection plate, again, pretty decent. Superstructure, the problem with superstructure is it's not actually well protected by the turrets in the front like the other Jean Bart and the Richelieu do get. The quad turrets are much wider, wherefore they protect you a lot from superstructure hits. As you can see from the Jean Bart, it's actually quite difficult to get too many shots in because of our large conning tower and the large guns protecting a lot of your superstructure from the front. Whereas the Flandre has the triple turret, which are much thinner, and you get a lot more hits in superstructure. It may not seem like much, including a smaller conning tower, but it certainly is noticeable. You can actually get some pretty chonkingly bad hits through your front. It's not as well a good at bow tanker. Not that you're saying you should bow tank in the Flandre, but that is certainly a downside for the armor scheme. Turtleback armor scheme, pretty hefty, pretty good Armored Warship armor. Again, guns that actually have the same plating as Richelieu and Jean Bart guns, but they seem to break a bit easier. Maybe it's because of the triple turret configuration. I do not know. If someone knows in the comments why they break a little bit easier, then do let me know. But I'm not sure in that regard. Upper deck's 32, along with the upper nose and bow, as we discussed before. So HE can do the job. And again, the turrets at the front don't protect my superstructure, so it's actually more vulnerable to HE than the likes of the Jean Bart and the Richelieu, in my opinion. Again, the turtleback is good. You can get citadeled. It is above the waterline citadel, and it's not actually that well armoured considering the rest of the ship. It's only 50mm, which isn't really much for a battleship citadel. But the moment you get a high turn, or you're a little bit farther away, the citadel is much easier to hit for enemy ships, and it can cause some problems. You can get dev struck relatively easy in a Flandre in comparison to the other French boats, where you're rather overpenned or it causes more problems. The big, main, tough armor scheme of the Flandre is both good, that it can shatter things when properly angled, but very bad when taking chunk damage. Very easy to take chunk damage in the Flandre. That's the biggest problem with that armor scheme. Now on to commanders. I know this video is taking some time, I do apologise. I actually recommend Gigeard because the base trait is helpful for the pen. Running a sort of sniper build without running drill bits because you need that extra speed and marksmanship because the guns are really trolly, reaching out and be able to rebuild with the double accuracy build. You could run Dunkirk or a brawler build, and you could run the Porcupine as we said before, but realistically no, because secondaries are poopy on the boat. So running Dunkirk can work as well for the additional heal, but you lose out on will to rebuild, so problematic there. Honestly, just run an accuracy build and you should be fine in Flandre. Maybe run something like I'm not even sure now. You could probably run something that gives you a bit more survivability against HE, or maybe a faster turn traverse of your guns. Yeah, we'll get into the game. I know we've been chatting for a good amount of time, about 7 minutes on the prep and discussion about Flandre, because it's a very controversial ship to build. It's not that it's bad, it's just that it's not really standing out in anything in particular. It just seems like a bog standard battleship, which for a premium is meh, and it's a weird one. I would compare this to a Bismarck. Realistically, it's a very good comparison to the Bismarck, but without the secondaries, without improved pin angles, and arguably with a slightly worse turtleback. So there's that. Anyway, how I recommend you actually play the Flandre? But as well, this just a side note, its A is pretty decent, as of all French BBs, so you do have that going for you. And again, it's very difficult to mention everything without trying to make a compact video, but I'd like to explain it fully and have a longer video, and you guys can skip through it, rather than shorten it down and miss out on key information that's very useful. At least that's how I like to do things on this channel, and whether you guys want to skip it or not, hey, that's fine, but at the end of the day, the content's there, you can always rewind and come back to it if you want to. So yeah, I recommend you how you play the Flandre. You want to be careful and passive whenever you can, certainly early game. You got to play this a lot like a brawler, but at the same time, you're not a brawler. You want to be sniping as much as you can, support shooting here, taking yourself into risky situations and getting out quickly. With a full accuracy build here, running El Scharnhorst, if you have her, get some good work done. You can get some really good hits like that. But other times the guns can be trolly. As you can see, we've taken a little bit of damage here. We already have lost like 5k to 10k health, and we've been taking a little bit of fire from pretty much the combined team on this left hand side here. And we're just going to try and disengage as much as we can here by turning right into the island here. Unfortunately, the torpedoes come in. We might be able to take some. No, we're not going to take them. We're going to take maybe miss one. No, we take both here, and that's kind of fun, unfortunately. And again, we're kind of on our own this flank here, but it's a difficult boat to. It's not really a boat that's good it's going to carry your game. It's an okay boat. It's not amazing. It's not great. It doesn't really have anything that is better than anything else at its tier or something unique. You know, in terms of the armor, it's pretty good when you're angled. So angling this boat will really be much better. A decent hand that Maggie there. The angling this boat will be much better than the very tanky playstyle that the French normally do, at least with the Jean Martin Richelieu. More akin this playstyle to the Champagne, and that is really what I'd recommend. Except you've got 9 guns instead of is it 3? Is it 6 with the Champagne? So there we go. You do get an extra gun turret over the Champagne, and you've got a better armor scheme. You've also got higher hit points. In terms of the Champagne, you don't have the same pen. You don't have 16 guns. So the Champagne has that advantage over you. Champagne is actually the best pen in the game currently, so you have that. Is the Champagne is its gimmick. It's also very quick. Flandre is not the same boat. I recommend kiting in this, playing this a lot like the Champagne. You'll get some decent results. In terms of getting amazing results, you obviously brawling, if it pays off and you can get it done right, it can work because you do have the turtle back, but you need to be aware that you can lose health so easily. It's very easy to lose health in this boat, and it's not very easy to recover it as well. Heals are pretty reasonable cooldown as well. We did use a heal there and so forth, and just holding the enemy at arm's reach and just making them try to attack you and pulling them away from your team. Just the general kiting maneuver, but for battleships, is what I'd recommend this boat. Just literally play it like the Champagne, you'll get a good job of there. Fortunately, we've got some broadside targets here. Looks like we underestimated how slow the Amagi is, or how responsive his turret, his engine is. Turpus is quite well angled. We have HE, have AP loaded. Don't be afraid to switch to HE and Flandre as well. If the target's heavily angled, I don't feel the guns have as much pen as like a Jean Bar Richelieu does, but again, I could be wrong in that regard. I think they have probably the same pen, just doesn't feel the same. I don't know. Maybe it's just because of the 3 gun turrets or so forth. But you can get some pretty nice shots when you build into full accuracy. Again, we don't have that. I recommend turret traverse and so forth because you will be turning your bow and you'll get some decent shots and you're having to rotate and kite and duke and dive. Only late game I'd recommend pushing in. I don't think medium game you can do it. You got to be careful with all the cruisers because they will just melt you pretty quickly. And yeah, it's rough taking damage this boat. It really is. The big hefty battleships chunking you will really do some sizable work here. So you can see I've been playing quite passively this game. Quite passively coming in there, getting the job done, getting a couple shots in, and then pushing in more late game. I would push in about now, 100%, and I would recommend doing that because you've got some other stuff there, so we'll win there. But we're not getting the game's ending too quickly for that. But we did get our wee depth strike in. We did showcase that you can get the really work done. You just gotta play at range and you can kite as much as you can. Realistically here, again, angling will do the best for you here. Not bow tanking in this boat. Some boats are better at bow tanking, some boats prefer angling. This is 100% an angle boat. The guns can perform, and you can get some reasonable gun angles. Not amazing, but reasonable gun angles kiting backwards. So yeah, there's that. But the gun angles are favoured forwards because you have the guns up front anyway. But at the same time, you don't want to be pushing too much. You could be kiting and with an angled reverse in Flandre. That could work as well. But you need to be careful about being focused because you will die very quickly to AP volleys as well as HE volleys, assuming they have the ability to pen 32. Again, the beam protection is not bad. The speed is okay. The turning circle is not great. We buffed that low with our rudder shift mod. I can get some stuff in. As you can see, the accuracy can be really floaty. We're hitting an AK at a relatively fair distance as well, though. So at the same time, I'm not really expecting too much, but we did kind of bracket the guy, but hey, that's how it goes sometimes. That's the world of battleships. We can use a speed boost. We didn't have to use it now, but sometimes using a speed boost to get at situations or push into targets, you have that ability to push in quickly with that speed boost. And of course, the secondary consumable, it doesn't hurt anybody if it's for free. You know, even hitting someone with a secondary gun, you might be able to break a module with the HE. Obviously you can't pen the boat, but you might be able to damage the modules. And of course the 152s are still present, so you will get some secondary hits, and the 100mm guns can at least cause a fire. Again, as secondaries go, they're not great because they can't pen anything, but they can still cause fires, and you never know, every little bit helps. So yeah, sorry about the noise in the background there. I can't really help it, it's the neighbours. But yeah, decent work there. We can push in, we can finally get this cap here. And just playing passively early on and just picking your, just kiting away from the enemy team as much as you can is what's going to yield you the best results. Unfortunately, it's not really a playstyle I synergize well with because I don't like to be very passive, but if you're playing passive in Flandre, you're probably doing it right. Using your angled armor to bounce and troll AP shells is really what you should be doing in this build. Brawling is for later, and if you'll see a lot of Flandre players that push it in early on, they just get melted because they can't take the sustained AP fire from decent shots and HE from pretty much anywhere. Do some sizable chunk damage to you, but you kite back and you bait the shells. You pick where you want the shells to be hit on your boat. You can get some work done, and that's the biggest point we're trying to highlight here. You want to be kiting this boat. You want to be playing back, only pushing in late game, like all battleships should, regardless of whether you're a sniper, quote unquote, or a brawler, quote unquote. You should be doing that there. And that's pretty much this game here. Pretty quick game here, but again, at the same time, the explanation on the Flandre was quite long, so I wanted to at least shorten the video somewhat. This is probably one of the best games I've had in Flandre, which is oddly enough not been having good success with it, only because it really doesn't synergize with my kind of playstyle. I like to play aggressive, and this boat really punishes aggressive play, at least early game. You can obviously pull it off in the right situations. World of Warships teams are not concrete, and you can get some really bad teams that let you get away with anything, and you get some really good teams that basically let you get away with nothing. So it really does depend on the match by match basis, but generally you want to play this boat very defensively, and you want to be kiting with your battleship as much as possible, only until late game pushing in. But yeah, hope it helps you out, guys. Overall, I wouldn't not the best ship in the game, but hey, you've got it or you haven't got it. I still think the campaign's worth getting. So, if you want to make it work, great. If not, well, you can see what it works out. Hope you guys enjoyed this video as always. Please like if you haven't already, and yeah, have a wonderful day. Catch you all next time. Bye bye.